The Zephyrian High Command had never known defeat. For 3 millennia, their Crimson warships had carved paths of conquest through 17 star systems, their hulls gleaming with the near-mythical substance they called Vorthak, a metamaterial that absorbed kinetic energy and redistributed it harmlessly across its crystalline lattice structure. Plasma bolts, railgun slugs, even antimatter charges simply vanished into the hull's surface like stones thrown into an infinite well. Admiral Kethavar stood on the bridge of the flagship Eternal Dominance. His 4 eyes focused on the tactical display showing Earth's pathetic orbital defenses. The blue-green world hung before them like a ripe fruit waiting to be plucked. Intel reported that these humans had only recently achieved faster-than-light travel, making them barely more advanced than the primitive Centaurians they'd crushed decades ago. Their largest kinetic projectiles registered at 0.2 terajoules, reported his tactical officer, mandibles clicking with amusement. Our Vorthak armor can absorb 50 times that energy without strain. Kethavar's confidence was absolute. The humans had already fired their most powerful weapons, massive railguns that launched tungsten rods the size of shuttlecraft. The projectiles had struck the Zephyrian fleet's lead vessels and simply disappeared. Their kinetic energy absorbed so completely that not even a vibration registered on the hull sensors, but something nagged at the admiral as he watched the human fleet's seemingly random movements. Their ships weren't retreating in panic as expected. Instead, they maintained precise formations, almost as if they were waiting. Dr. Elena Vasquez adjusted her glasses for the 100th time as she watched the enemy fleet from her laboratory aboard the research vessel Breakthrough. Around her, banks of quantum computers hummed with calculations, processing the energy signatures they'd been collecting from the alien ships for the past 6 hours. The absorption isn't uniform, she muttered to her assistant, Dr. Chen. Look at these resonance patterns. Their metamaterial has a crystalline structure. It has to have natural frequencies. But Elena, even if we could find the resonant frequency, we don't have weapons that can maintain that precise wavelength while delivering sufficient energy. Elena smiled grimly. We don't need weapons. We need a tuning fork. Her fingers flew over the holographic interface, pulling up schematics that would have seemed impossible to any other species in the galaxy. Humans, it turned out, had a peculiar obsession with making things vibrate at very specific frequencies. They'd been doing it for centuries, from grandfather clocks to quantum processors. Chen, patch me through to Admiral Reyes immediately. The human admiral's face appeared on Elena's screen, his weathered features tight with concern. Behind him, the bridge of the UES Defiance bustled with activity as his crew prepared for what everyone assumed would be humanity's final stand. Doctor, I hope you're calling with good news because we're about 10 minutes away from... Admiral, I need every ship in the fleet to synchronize their main engines to exactly 847.2 terahertz. Not their weapons, their engines. Reyes blinked. Doctor, with respect, this isn't the time for... The alien hulls are crystalline metamaterials. They absorb energy by distributing it through their lattice structure. But every crystal has a resonant frequency. If we can hit that frequency with enough ships simultaneously... Understanding dawned in the Admiral's eyes. You want to turn our entire fleet into one massive vibrator. Technically a phased array of harmonic oscillators, but yes. The engines won't be propelling us, they'll be singing. Kethavar noticed the change immediately. The human ships had stopped their erratic movements and formed a perfect sphere around the Zephyrian fleet. More puzzling, their energy signatures had shifted. Instead of preparing weapons, they seemed to be harmonizing their engine outputs. What are they doing? Demanded the tactical officer. Scans indicate they're synchronizing their fusion drives to emit a specific frequency of electromagnetic radiation, reported the science officer, her voice puzzled. It's not a weapon formation, it's more like... Acquire. Kethavar's laugh was harsh. Acquire? Have these humans lost their minds? Do they think they can sing us to death? The first note was barely perceptible, a deep thrumming that seemed to come from everywhere at once. The Vorthak armor registered the energy and began its absorption process, drawing the electromagnetic waves into its crystalline matrix. But then something unprecedented happened. The second harmonic joined the first, then the third, the fourth. Hundreds of human ships, their fusion drives now functioning as massive speakers, created a symphony of destruction that targeted the one frequency the Zephyrian metamaterial could not absorb. because it was the frequency at which the material itself naturally vibrated. The hull of the Eternal Dominance began to sing. At first it was just a low hum that vibrated through the deck plates. The Zephyrian crew looked around nervously as their invincible armor began to resonate like a struck bell. The Vorthak metamaterial, designed to absorb and distribute energy, was now amplifying it instead, turning the entire hull into a massive resonating chamber. "Sir!" The science officer's voice cracked with panic. "The hull integrity is fluctuating. The Vorthak it's vibrating itself apart." Kethvar watched in horror as hairline cracks appeared across the Vorthak panels. The metamaterial that had made them invincible for 3,000 years was literally shaking itself to pieces. Across the fleet, the same phenomenon was occurring. Dozens of Crimson warships beginning to crumble as their own hulls became their downfall. "All ships, emergency jump!" Kethvar commanded, but it was too late. The resonant frequency had destabilized the Vorthak matrix so completely that even the jump drives, which relied on the metamaterial's exotic properties, were failing. Elena watched from her laboratory as the alien fleet tore itself apart. The mighty Zephyrian warships, each one a technological marvel that had conquered star systems, reduced to glittering debris by the simple application of high school physics. "Resonant frequency," she murmured to Chen, who was staring at the tactical display in amazement. "Every material has one, even invincible ones." On the bridge of the Defiance, Admiral Reyes opened a fleet-wide channel. "All ships, this is Reyes. Cease harmonic emissions. The enemy fleet is neutralized." Around Earth, the scattered remains of the Zephyrian armada drifted in expanding clouds of crystalline dust. The invincible had become the impossible, defeated not by superior firepower or advanced technology, but by a species that understood that sometimes the most complex problems had the simplest solutions. In the wreckage, automated distress beacons broadcast a message across Zephyrian space. "Beware the humans. They turn your strengths into weaknesses. They make weapons from physics textbooks. They are terrifyingly creative." And in her small laboratory, Dr. Elena Vasquez pushed her glasses up her nose and began working on her next project. Because humans, as the galaxy was about to learn, were just getting started.